Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. It's glad to be back. The last 2 weeks, Lori and I have spent traveling throughout Europe. It's been said that a tourist is someone who doesn't know where they've been, and a traveler is someone who doesn't know where they are going. We were travelers. We had no agenda, no preconceived plans, and in hindsight, the beauty of the trip was the rejuvenation that happened internally, just to kind of get away from everything and to completely let things go and to absolutely enjoy the experience of Lori and with Lori. So it was a great time. You know, I think when you experience something as a tourist, you're always asking, now, well, where did we go? What did we do? And what did we do next? And what happened then? But when you experience it as a traveler, you remember the surprises and you especially remember the people. Can I tell you about Marina? Our son-in-law, Matt, told us about a place that we must visit when we went to Prague. It's called the Bone Chapel. Now, because the Bone Chapel is outside of Prague and we didn't want to rent a car, we started looking for a tour and we found one the next day. And we were kind of about a tour, but we said, well, that'll get us out there. And so we got on this little bus and there were only 3 of us on the tour. There was a young student from northern Michigan, and ourselves, and the tour guide, Marina. And that gave us the opportunity to really get to know Marina for the next 8+ hours, because that's how long we were on the tour together. And yes, let me just tell you about the Bone Chapel. Go look it up. We don't have time to talk about it here, but it truly is a chapel. That the whole inside of this chapel is everything from the altar to the chandeliers to the walls to the signature of the people that did it are all done in bones, human bones. Human bones, skull heads. You get them from wars and famines and Black Plague that on that spot, and they wanted to anyway, that's a whole nother story. Go look it up if you're interested. But I have to tell you, it's kind of creepy. And it's a functioning church with an altar, everything that's in there. But anyway, so we went there, but the most important thing was the conversation with Marina. Now let me tell you about Marina. A middle-aged woman. She has a college-age daughter that's living in Vienna. And working in Vienna now. She's graduated from college. And she's vivacious. She has a huge smile, extremely knowledgeable, speaks several languages, and truly enjoyed what she was doing. And so I asked her about fulfillment. I said, are you getting fulfillment from this? I mean, you must love this. And she says, oh, I do. To be able to see these people and be able to do things with them all the time. She says, I truly love it. And she says, and so I said, well, it must give you a lot of fulfillment. She says, well, that's the one thing about it is she says, I'm kind of getting burned out. I don't ever get to see if it makes a difference. I want to do something that makes a difference. And I said, just stop 1 second here. Let's talk about this for a minute. I said, first of all, you've already made a difference for us. I said, you have to trust that you're making a difference. You see, just like what you do, all of you out there, just what like I do, how do we know we're making a difference sometimes? You see, the one thing we can never give away is our influence. We own our own influence. We can't give it away. The sad thing about it, we don't always know what our influence is doing. And there's a lot of times I don't want to know. But there's times when it would be nice to know. And there's places and there's jobs and there's responsibilities that we don't always get to see it. And she's in one. Tourists come, they have an experience, and she never sees them again. I said, but if you have faith, and I talked about having faith in what she's doing and faith in her ability and her knowledge and set the stage right. And so we talked about how did you set the stage for what she's doing. And so we actually scripted her. And as she got into it, she actually got emotional. She started to see the difference that she was making. And so we scripted her along the lines of, I said, imagine you begin your next tour group and you stand up and you say something like this: ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to have you be a part of this tour. And on this tour, you're going to see examples of where people have made great decisions. And you're going to see examples of where people have made poor decisions. And you're going to see the outcomes of those good decisions and those poor decisions. You know, in life, we all make decisions. And maybe by being on this trip today, if you ask yourself, what have I learned today that will help me be a better decision maker in the future? Every one of you will leave with a gift of becoming a better decision maker because you were on this trip today. So feel free to ask me any questions that you have about this country or about what's going on and my experience with it. And I'll do my best to help you understand the learnings that I've had and that other people are having as a result of this and that you can have today. And let me tell you, she just glowed. Look, this is nothing more than the empowered wealth mindset. Is there anything in this life we can't learn from? Absolutely nothing. And if that's the case, then that we have this amazing campus that can continually teach us the great things that there are. And so we felt so good to leave her, and we've corresponded with her since we've left, and I think we've developed a lifelong friend now, and somebody that has been impacting others, but now with the faith to impact others will impact even more. That's lesson number one. Lesson number one is have faith in what you're doing. Have faith that it makes a difference, because it'll change the way that you do it. Lesson number one. Lesson number two was her experience in growing up under Soviet dominance, communism. You see, her parents and her grandparents grew up under Nazis, and after the war, 1948, it transitioned underneath communist control. Can you imagine living all those years under those two different types of control? And she says she remembers that there was no way they could celebrate any of the religious holidays. Christmas was forbidden, for example. She said if she got an orange in her shoe, not her stocking, but in her shoe, for Christmas, that she was so thrilled with that. And they had to sneak around to get their religious holidays. They had to sneak around to do the things that they do. And all the stores were empty. She says these young people that come to me today and say, we need to have a socialist economy. We need to have a socialist country. She just tells them, you are out of your minds. Do you want to stand in line to get everything that you want to get? Yes, you might get free education, but what's the teaching that they're going to give you? You have no control over that. Yes, they might give you free medicine, but you're going to stand in line. And what is the medicine that they're actually giving you? You have no control over that. You see, competition drives it and thrives it. And she says, without competition, the only people that had the money were the members of the Communist Party, the absolute members. And she said, I would have nothing to do with it. And she could see she was emotional. She says, I tell my daughter every single day to be grateful for democracy, to be grateful that she lives in this country, that she has the power to kind of work and do things herself. So lesson number two, more practical lesson. Take time to fully understand the blessing that each one of us has to live in a democracy. And be careful not to forget what it was really like for those that have lived before us to live in a communist or socialistic society. Let's not swing the pendulum back so far that we pay the price of freedom. So those are two lessons that we learned on this trip this week, this last couple of weeks, amidst many, many others. We were grateful to be travelers and not just tourists. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy this week. Learn this week. I will look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye.